for saying us this interview.
Okay.
You have just released a new album, Beloved Antichrist, inspired by the novel of the Russian writer Vladimir Sovyov. Short tale of the Antichrist. How did the idea of producing this work come out on a record?
Well, it's actually not really an album, it's a musical, like Jesus Christ Superstar or Phantom of the Opera. But just like you can buy Phantom of the Opera on CD, you can also buy this on CD, vinyl. But we haven't staged the musical yet, it will be later. Because of economic reasons we had to release the audio version first. And the idea is because of a classical opera that I tried to write in 2003, 2004 at that time. But I didn't complete it, and I thought it was a shame to have a lot of good material, so I decided to redo it into Therion material. And then I kept the idea of making an opera for stage. So in 2012 I started to rearrange the classical pieces into Therion material. And we started to write new material, and yeah, that's how it came about.
Okay, thank you. Beloved Antichrist is totally based on the work of Sovyov, or have you added or removed something from the book?
We changed most things. It's we owe the story to him. We wouldn't have done what we did without him, but we changed almost everything. We kept the character Antichrist, of course. There are a few other characters are kept, but we completely redid the whole beginning and the end. In the book there are no females, so we introduced a lot of female roles, and we rewrote one male role into female, and we also changed a lot in the middle of it. If you read the book and if you see the musical, it will be a completely different thing. You will recognize some things. There are like 3-4 scenes that are exactly how they are in the book, but in general it's inspired by the book, not based on it.
The disc consists in 46 songs and about 3 hours of music, probably the longest album I have ever heard. It's divided into 3 acts, with number of singers. How was the idea of making a rock opera so long, and how long were you writing the album?
Well, it's normal for operas to run that length, and that's the thing, it's not an album, it's a rock metal musical with opera vocals. So we kept the opera form, but used also rock music. So the number of singers and the length and the different acts, that's all normal for an opera. And yeah, well, like I said, I started to write 2003, the classical parts, and then I didn't write anything for many years. And in 2012 we started to rearrange, and in 2013 we started to write new material.
How do you choose the songs to take them to live, and which is the way to select them?
Well, there are two ways here. Like what we do now is a regular tour, so we just play a few of the songs from the opera like regular songs. So that's not difficult. We just play like we do normally. But for the musical performance later, that will be very complicated because, like, if you go and see Phantom of the Opera, you know, it's full staging with sceneries and everything. So we're gonna try to sell it to a production company that will do it. It doesn't have to be us playing.
This album, as we have mentioned, would you say that is a musical? It's an authentic rock opera with sopranos, tenors, orchestra, chorus. How was the way to choose and find so much talent to record this ambitious work? All the singers and musicians.
We have good connections. I mean, we recorded with classical singers for 20 years now, so we know a lot of people. And when I didn't know somebody that was perfect for a role, I got recommendations from the people I know. So we did some auditions and found the right people. It wasn't so hard, actually.
How was the process of choosing and selecting the musical passage from the part of the story?
I didn't.
Like to choose which music you need to put to every part of the story.
That's a bit complicated because each scene, something is happening on stage, and if you have a love scene, it needs to be music that suits for the love scene, obviously. And if you have war scene, it has to be music that suits for war. As a metal band, it's easier to write music for the war scenes, obviously. And there are some scenes that are more complicated, like when you have a monologue, like the ending of Act 1, where Antichrist starts to doubt himself, who he is, and where he's going with what's happening. To write very reflective music, that could be difficult. Also, like the Palace Ball, it's a dancing scene in a ballroom. That's obviously very different from what we normally do, that type of music. But we have very talented people working on this. I had some help. I wrote 80% myself, and 20% was written by the other guys in the band. And the stuff that was difficult to write for me was maybe easier to write for somebody else. We actually wrote over 4 hours of music, so we shortened it down to 3 hours. So we have a lot to choose away.
So it has to be very difficult to choose what part is removed and which part is removed.
Yeah, because some parts you may like musically, while other parts are very essential for the story. So it would be easy if you just remove the parts that you don't like so much, but some parts really had to be there because the story doesn't work without them. So it was actually very difficult to choose when we shortened it down. When we wrote 4 hours, and then I had to choose away around half an hour, and we recorded 3.5 hours. And then I had to listen to a recording and remove actually 25 minutes from that. It's 3 hours, 4 minutes.
In the future, do you plan to take this work to operas or theaters to be performed with actors and live orchestra to recreate this story like worldwide, like going to a lot of stage and this kind of like a little tour of this?
I wish it was so easy that I can just choose. The thing is, we're a big band as a rock band, but we are nobody in the musical scene. It's like if you're a rocket scientist, it doesn't help you if you want to be a tennis player. You know, you need to create something in each field. So we need to find a production company who believe in the idea and want to launch it. As a band, we could maybe do 2-3 special shows just for our fans worldwide. That's because we need to do very big places. We need to sell out the place with at least 3,000 tickets, otherwise it's not going to work financially with this big production. So if we don't get a production company to put this up, I guess we will do maybe London, Paris, and Mexico City, and that will be it.
How I commented before, is a very long album for kids. It's an incredible music quality. but it's very difficult for any metal fan to listen to this album in one time. What would you say to hey metal fans of how to listen to this album and don't scare them about the duration?
Well, this is like releasing the soundtrack first and the movie later. Nobody will understand this before you've seen it on stage, because the music is composed to what happens on stage. So if somebody have difficulty with it, I would recommend that they just don't bother about it now, and then they can watch the musical later, because that's how it's supposed to be presented. If somebody can listen to the music without the stage now and enjoy it, then I'm really happy. But this was created specifically to be staged as a theater.
For the live shows you have 3 singers. Singing opera and rock every day is something very difficult. What's the way they have to take care of their voice?
We're very rock and roll. We just don't drink a lot of alcohol. People don't smoke. That's enough. Try to get good sleep. People think that if you're in a rock band that you're drunk every day, but it's not like that. Nobody's drinking. It's just in the movies and pictures. Sure, there were a few bands that were like that, but most bands try to take care of it. Most of us have, families, home. I have a 9-year-old. He will soon be 10-year-old kid, and you live a quite well. You can't say it's a normal life because you travel in a tour bus and you show, but as normal as it can be during the circumstances. Of course, when you're really young, you're 20 years old and you go on tour and there's free beer. Of course, people drink, but when you get older and you want to be professional, you realize you need to, take care of yourself.
Therion has begun in 1787 as a death metal band. Now the band has nothing to do with this time like this very, very difficult. What do you think your most veteran fans of Believe in Antichrist? What does they think about? Do you think that they will think about that album?
I don't know. We have made 16 albums, so it's normal that bands have done different things. Like if you like a band like Rush, for instance, in the beginning they try to sound like Led Zeppelin. I'm a big Rush fan, but I don't like their early records. You just listen a little bit and like, okay, it's not my cup of tea, and then you just buy and listen to the records you like. I don't think it's a big deal, but there are some fans that likes everything we did. I mean, some open-minded people that like death metal, they like progressive, like symphonic. I mean, I like death metal and I like symphonic stuff. But I don't like so much new death metal bands, but when I grew up I listened to much death metal.
I love going back to listen to Laurel Lewis in an album of yours. How was the writing with her? Will we see her again on the stage with Therion in the future?
Well, she never left the band. We just said that she will stop touring. So that's what we did. She stayed in a band and continued to record with us, but she will not be on stage.
I really like it, the songs Night Reborn, Theme of Antichrism, and Symbol of New Jerusalem. With what song you would say is the best of the musical, and which do you think will become classics of the band in a few years?
It's so difficult to say. For example, Lemuria, which is one of the songs we have to play every night. When we made the album, people were like, "Oh, okay, it's a good song, but nothing special." When you've recorded something and there's been 2-3 years later, then you will know which are the popular songs. I think the Temple of the New Jerusalem is having the best reaction on stage on this tour, but you can never say. It could be very unpredictable. And I think also when people have seen the music have a completely different meaning. Now people listen like if it was a regular album and just with the music. But if you have a scene that really captures people, then they will get different feelings towards the music. So I think after the musical has been staged, people will have very different opinions about the material.
And where does it come, this original name of Therion?
We borrowed it from one of my favorite bands called Celtic Frost. They made an album called To Mega Therion. And I still love Celtic Frost, but then they were really my big heroes. So I was thinking if I wish to have the band name Pandemonium or Therion, because those were the two records I listened mostly to. Actually, we were called Mega Therion from the beginning, but then I thought it's a bit too much. Let's short it down to Therion.
I think Beloved Antichrist is truly a masterpiece, and with the pass of the time will give it more value, and it will become a obligatory listening disc for any band of any fan of music in general. What do you think about that?
I think it will definitely grow on people. I mean, there are many records that were considered flops in their own time. If I say Judas Priest Painkiller today, everybody's like, yeah, Painkiller, one of the best albums. When it was released, it was a big flop. When we did Secret of the Runes, our record sales went in half. And today, most fans would say, oh, it's your best record. So some albums need more time for people to get it. And I remember for myself, being a young metal guy, when I bought Seventh Son album from Iron Maiden, I was so disappointed. Like, fuck, what's this shit with keyboards? And I didn't get it. It's a crap album. And now I think it's one of the best records. So sometimes you personally need more time for some records, and sometimes the whole community need more time to swallow something. But with Therion in general, we always change style between the records. So every time we make a new record, there's always tons of people that are really disappointed. Like, well, how could you do this? If you would read on the internet, go back in the history of internet since 2001 when people started to comment about it. Back then it was forums before there was Facebook. And you would just collect the comments for every new release of Therion. You would think that we never made a successful album because you just see a lot of complaints. But you should also be aware of that people who are unhappy are always more likely to express themselves. Like if you see on the pre-release that we had on YouTube of 4 songs, 50% of the comments are negative. But if you see on the amount of likes, more than 90% of the likes are positive. So most people like it, almost everybody like it, but the few people who don't like it, they feel like, oh, I have to write comments and complain. So it's easy to be fooled that way. Like you just read the comments like, oh, nobody seems to like it, but then you check the amount of likes and you see it's different. And we actually charted higher with Beloved Antichrist in Germany than any previous release. We became number 46, I think, on the album list. And not even when we were at the top of our career in the late 90s or early 2000s, we would chart that high. So in the end, you see if people buy the records, and like five years after an album, then you know if it was a flop or a classic.
I think so. Well, so far the interview. Would you like to add something?
Well, it's nice to be back in Spain again. It's always good to play here, and yeah, this is the last show we do in Spain now, so it will be a great ending of the Iberian half-island tour.
Yes, so thank you very much.
Well, thank you. Hi, I'm Christopher from Therion. You're watching Dioses del Metal.